He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Hello, I'm Simon Morris. Making a movie is harder than it looks. I don't just mean getting a big cast and spending a fortune on special effects or even coming up with a great idea. You know, let's make a movie about Captain Cook's love life, or let's make one about man's inhumanity to man, or even slightly less ambitiously, one starring a couple of hot new names. No, that's not the hard bit.
The Girl Who Stole the Eiffel Tower.
The Girl Who Stole the Eiffel Tower. It sounds just fascinating. The title is symbolic, of course. I mean, she doesn't really steal the Eiffel Tower, does she?
The hard bit is always the script, and more to the point, getting the script to make sense. The great Billy Wilder once said, for every 100 people who can write decent dialogue, there are maybe 4 or 5 who can do structure, putting the thing together so one thing effortlessly leads to another.
It's an action, suspense, romantic melodrama, with lots of comedy, of course. And deep down underneath, a substrata of social comment.
Oh.
There are so many well-known script-writing principles. Make 'em laugh, make 'em cry, make 'em wait, come in at the last moment, leave at the first possible one. Well, none of them help when you suddenly find yourself lost in a maze of contradictions.
And then, conflict. We can tell by the music how deeply fraught with danger the whole situation is. And now, the first switch.
There are 2 easy ways out of a structural bind, both of them frowned on by purists. You can add a voiceover. If the story doesn't make sense, maybe a calm, authoritative narrator can steer us in the right direction. And there's always the dreaded flashback.
The audience gasped when they realized they'd been fooled. Things are not what they seem. Not at all.
Good flashbacks help so long as they're cut to the bare minimum. Trouble is, they very rarely are. I've seen movies that had flashbacks within flashbacks. The Humphrey Bogart movie Passage to Marseille notoriously had flashbacks within flashbacks within flashbacks.
In fact, the whole situation is completely reversed, involving the magnificently ingenious switch on the switch.
And then there are flash forwards. Why not hint to the audience where this thing is going? And what about dream sequences? The difference between a dream in a movie and a flashback, as Peter Dinklage once pointed out in the movie Living in Oblivion, is it had a dwarf in it.
Have you ever had a dream with a dwarf in it? Do you know anyone who's had a dream with a dwarf in it? No! I don't even have dreams with dwarves in them. The only place I've seen dwarves in dreams is in stupid movies like this.
Flashbacks, flash forwards, dream sequences, what was once a last chance clarification of a plot that needed help can easily turn into director self-indulgence. Whatever the message of the film was originally, it's now become, look at me, look how brilliantly I'm tying this script up in knots.
Look, I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a girl he met in a restaurant who then turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to a childhood lover who she'd last seen on a deserted island and who turned out 15 years later to be the leader of the French underground.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
The fact is, an audience will give a film a certain amount of latitude at the start. For a while, we don't need to know everything yet. But after 20 minutes or so, we do need to have a rough idea where we're going.
The final, earth-moving, studio rent-paying, theater-filling, popcorn-selling. Kiss. Fade out. The end.
Where are we? Whose story is this? What do they want and what's stopping them? This week, 2 movies that make life harder for themselves with confusing flashbacks, if that's what they are. New Zealand film Kōkā and Australian horror flick Bring Her Back. But first, a director whose films are almost all narration and still struggle to make sense. Wes Anderson's back with another unique confection, the Phoenician Scheme.
At this moment, rescue workers are laboring to recover and identify the remains of Zsa Kōkā, international businessman, maverick in the fields of armaments and aviation, among the richest men in Europe.
Wes Anderson is a very specific taste. I hesitate to call it an acquired one. You either like his strangely airless doll's house aesthetic with deadpan performances by an all-celebrity cast and serpentine plots winding their way to the horizon, or you don't.
Kōkā Land and Sea Phoenician Infrastructure Scheme, my most important project of my lifetime.
Our objective: disrupting, obstructing, impeding, crippling Kōkā's enterprise in any manner possible.
His latest, the Phoenician Scheme, seems to have seen off some once loyal fans. Enough's enough, they're reported to have said. Curiously, I had that feeling a few movies ago, but now seem to be returning to the fold. The fact is, you don't go to Wes Anderson for action or even emotion. His favourite shot is the medium wide shot, with his characters moving around within the frame.
Who shot you?
Tara's from out of town. Help yourself to a hand grenade.
You're very kind.
Could you imagine falling in love with a man like me, by the way, hypothetically?
You're drunk on 3 beers.
What I like about Wes isn't the fact that he hires my favourite actors, or not just the fact that this one stars Benicio del Toro with Tom Hanks, Willem Dafoe, Benedict Cumberbatch, Scarlett Johansson, Charlotte Gainsborough and Bill Murray as an Old Testament god. Oh, and Mathieu Amalric and Richard Ayoade.
Why are you shooting my ceiling?
This is a robbery on behalf of...
I understand that. I'm asking about my ceiling. You idiots are destroying a magnificent nightclub.
Now, I love the fact that every shot in the Phoenician Scheme has a joke in it, albeit occasionally surreal. I'd say he was the René Magritte of comedy films, if he wasn't also so American.
Get the hand grenades. Today, tonight, and tomorrow, we rendezvous with every Titan and pretend we agree what we already agreed. But in fact, we don't. We can't.
You'll either go to this film because of Wes Anderson, or you'll stay away for the same reason. But here's the plot anyway. Our anti-hero is the unbelievably wealthy Zsa Kōkā. Wes Anderson loves a good Hungarian name, played by the enigmatic Benicio del Toro.
I've got a cornfield and looks like a soybean field, which is going to be softer.
Inconclusive.
Never mind, I'll be in the cornfield.
Having survived yet another plane crash, the period seems to be Somerset Maugham era 1930s. Kōkā, like so many multi-millionaires, is prepared to gamble everything he's got for a bit more. He decides to make his latest scheme a family affair.
This was Kōkā's 6th recorded airplane crash. He is survived by 10 children, 9 boys, 1 nun, his daughter Liesl.
He rejects his 9 adopted sons, who are all around 12 years old, in favour of his daughter, the novice nun Liesl. Liesl is played by the gorgeously named Mia Threepleton, who happens to be Kate Winslet's daughter. Liesl seems to have inherited the Kōkā deadpan delivery.
I've appointed you sole heir to my estate, which you may come into sooner rather than later.
Why? It's been 6 years since our last meeting.
I have my reasons.
Which are what?
My reasons? I'm not saying. I'm saying I'm not saying.
She's persuaded to be part of the fiendishly complicated Phoenician Scheme, one that requires a series of steps to achieve. To assist her, Kōkā hires a Swedish chaperone called Björn, played by Michael Cera at his most wide-eyed and innocent, even when he finds a bomb on Kōkā's private plane.
Is this supposed to be here? It was under the lunch trolley.
Oh dear.
How much time does it say?
18 minutes.
Perfectly fine. We land in 10. Myself, I feel very safe.
On their heels is a sinister cabal of men in suits, all going out of their way to upend the Phoenician Scheme. This requires plenty of brilliant ploys on the part of Kōkā, mostly plucked out of thin air as required. Mind you, that seems to be the method employed by writer-director Wes Anderson too.
One thing you'll never know, because you can't. The truth. I suppose I'm moved by this absurd performance.
Anderson's directing style, everything in its place, performances where nobody seems remotely surprised by anything, gives the possibly fraudulent impression that the story has been ingeniously mapped out with a beginning, a middle and an end.
Call it. Heads. Heads.
But is it fraudulent? Because despite the apparent randomness of events, somehow everything comes to a satisfying conclusion. Dumb luck or intelligent design, you wonder? Meanwhile, you've spent time in very agreeable company, not just the cast, but some famous and wildly expensive artworks.
Did you just tell Marseille Bob the Sacramento Consortium agreed to cover the gap?
No.
All of it, you said. I speak French, of course. You're fiddling with it again.
Okay, yes, but I'm doing a strategy. Listen carefully.
That said, while I enjoyed it enormously, would I want to ever see the Phoenician Scheme again? I don't think I can say that.
I recognize this assassin.
Go now.
Suicide pedal.
Where's for father? Take this miserable sin into the company.
It's been a good year for New Zealand films with a Maori Pacifica angle. The all-conquering Tina, the documentary about Marlon Williams' first album in Te Reo, last year's Land Wars drama Ka Whawhai Tonu. And now another film, like Tina, about a wise old indigenous woman. Her name is Hamo, and the film is called Kōkā.
No mai ngā hua.
The film is half in English, half in Te Reo, more specifically the Eastern dialect, I believe, and curiously, both Kōkā and Tina both mean mother. We meet Hamo in hospital, about to be sent home, and by home she means a long journey from the South Island to the East Cape.
We ask that Miss Williams be held in custody while on remand. We believe she's a danger to the community.
Along the way, she crosses paths with her polar opposite, an angry young woman called Jo Williams, long separated from her Maori roots, a series of accidents waiting to happen. There's trouble at the caravan park she stays at, and the police are summoned.
E nana ki te kōtirona.
Engani, he uri nā Maui.
Hamo wants to help, even though the police advise her to have nothing to do with Jo. She's an incorrigible delinquent, they say. But Hamo isn't prepared to give up on her. She speaks up for her in court, and shortly afterwards finds she's become Jo's somewhat reluctant guardian. It looks like they're both heading to the East Cape now.
I come from a different time.
Yeah, I heard about you old school Māoris, eh? Everything sacred and ooh, tupu and all of that.
Now, I have to say there were parts of the storyline, particularly the geography of the story, that I only got anything like a handle on near the end of the film. There's very little attempt to give us more than a rough idea of where we are at any given time.
We still got a long ways to go.
I could have used some sort of road map throughout Kōkā. Too many journeys seem to go for miles in one direction, only to end up where we started. And similarly, the backstory of Hamo was hinted at in frustratingly short snippets of flashbacks and dreams.
No mai ngā taonga.
It's beautiful here.
The story's best moments, predictably, are between the two leads, here and now. Hamo is played by Hinatu Dell, who I remember from the short film collection Vi a few years ago. She's old, wise, and connected with the old ways. The volatile Jo is played by a newcomer, Darlene Christian.
I'm really sorry, eh?
Thank you.
Oh, we should have just stayed in the car. We're gonna die out here, man.
But the film decides that generation gap bickering may not be enough, so a lot of time and flashbacks are spent suggesting the characters' pasts will produce something more. Hamo obviously had issues with her late father. Her relationship with her late husband is also touched on rather more sketchily. Was he a goodie or a baddie?
Pai tonu tēnei ki a koe. Mahau ana ki.
Ka pai. That's a pōhutakawa, the star that carries all the spirits to the worlds beyond.
Meanwhile, Jo seems to have no backstory to speak of. Her friends from the caravan site pop up throughout the film, adding to my geographical confusion. Where are we now? So how did Jo's cash-strapped buddies manage to find Jo and Hamo an hour or so later, wherever we are?
What am I looking for?
This is to honour the importance of women.
All a bit confusing, as I say, particularly when Hamo once again finds herself in a very similar hospital later in the film to where she started out. Was it all a dream, a flashback or a flash forward? Well, this way lies madness, of course, and it's probably best to do what I did and take it all on face value.
Ko tai ki te wā.
One thing can't be denied, though. The film looks several $million. Director Kath Akuhata-Brown said that the film benefited indirectly from the recent writers and actors strikes in America. With several overseas film productions on hold here, their crack crews were suddenly available and keen to throw their expertise at Kōkā. It looks and sounds stupendous, even if the night skies do occasionally look more Star Wars Dune than Aotearoa Matariki.
Miharo.
What's that mean?
It means awesome.
Ah, yeah, awesome. Miharo.
Right now, the theatres are cluttered with blockbusters. The double act of Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch aren't quite the runaway phenomenon of Barbenheimer a couple of years back, possibly because you can't get a cute portmanteau phrase for it. Lilossable, impostitchable, but it still means everyone's ducked for cover, apart from a couple of horror films.
But Death doesn't like it when you mess with his plans.
This book, it will show you everything you need to know to keep our family safe.
So, Heads, Final Destination Bloodlines with its Death is Coming, No Star vibe, or Tails, the more upmarket A24 Australian indie called Bring Her Back. I mean, A24 is a cool company, right? And this one stars the highly reputable Sally Hawkins. All right, Tails, Bring Her Back.
We're going to put you with a foster mum called Laura. You're going to love her.
Oh, welcome to your new home.
This is my daughter's room.
Horror films have recently learned that one of the cheapest but most effective special effects you can add to a low-budget horror film is a really good actor. Catherine Keener in Get Out, Toni Collette in the chilling Hereditary, Hugh Grant in last year's The Heretic. The young Aussie directors of Bring Her Back couldn't believe their luck when they got respected English actress Sally Hawkins.
This is their new sister and brother, Oliver. Oliver lost his family just like you guys.
Sally plays Laura, a professional foster mother in an Australian town. She's assigned to 17-year-old Andy and his 14-year-old partially sighted half-sister Piper after the kid's father is killed in a bathroom accident.
I want to show you something else. This way.
We stuffed Piper.
I know I'm a weirdo.
Piper, actually played by partially sighted actor Sora Wong, is greeted enthusiastically by Laura. Her brother Andy, though, is merely tolerated. And dotted about the house are hints to summon the uh-oh squad immediately. There's a stuffed dog, never a good sign, an equally mute child called Oliver, and the fact that Laura is clearly batshit crazy.
Needed someone that could keep in special care. Listen, I've got to tell you a secret.
I generally like Sally Hawkins as an actor, even though she seems to find herself in more than her fair share of iffy roles. Bring Her Back's directors, brothers Danny and Michael Philippou, clearly encouraged her to go for it when it came to leaving little clues that 1, she's got sinister plans for Piper, and 2, if Andy should fall off a cliff, that'd be just fine with Laura.
It's like a little angel. It's a beautiful angel. It does beautiful things.
Like most A24 movies, the first half an hour or so of Bring Her Back is spent carefully building up the tension, establishing character, Laura looking weird, mute Oliver putting the cat in a headlock, that sort of thing.
Oliver! Excuse me. Oliver! No! Give me the cat. Give me the cat. Let him go. I got you. Let him go, Ollie.
And
We also get telling glimpses of Laura's old videotapes, grainy home movies of young people being mistreated in some way, and naked pot-bellied men stepping into a magic circle. Listen!
Listen! Listen.
But once the first 40 minutes are over, so is all restraint. Laura stalks the kids in the middle of the night. Oliver starts going full Halloween. And every time Andy gets sent away on an errand, all sorts of silent, crazy stuff happens around the house, with only the unseeing Piper as a witness. Talk about ironic.
Some people believe the spirit stays in the body for months after death.
It's working!
Will there be blood? Of course there'll be blood, though in the spirit of being thankful for small mercies, at least this time there's no sudden appearance of His Satanic Majesty, old Mr. Scratch. These days, crazy humans are more than scary enough, apparently.
We can bring her back.
So Bring Her Back is another unnecessary reminder that horror films are still not my cauldron of blood, thank you very much. On the way out, the young chap behind the counter told me how much he was looking forward to seeing it after he'd seen Lilo and Stitch, which tells you all you need to know about the age group who mostly go to horror films. Still, it'll be a dull old world, as they say, and for all of us, this brings this show to a close. I'm Simon Morris, and I hope you'll join me at the movies, same time next week.